Huayu. Starting from having children at home and experiencing life. Introduction. www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Short version. Director. Actors need to listen, watch, feel, and go deep into their roles. Feilong. We have already gone very deep. At this moment, no one is deeper than me. Long version. He is Feilong, a 20-something actor with a grand slam. He is Huayu, the youngest son in Family with Children. He is Qiu Xiao from Wulin Weizwen. https://www.zhaoshuan.com. Chapter 1. The Seemingly False World. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, spring is in full bloom, and the earth is recovering. Every household's calendar has opened a new chapter. In 2004, a new year arrived. Kyoto, Dongqing District, a quadrangle courtyard of over 400 square meters, with wall tiles modeled with the color of time. The voice of a little doubting in the courtyard shouted out a long way. I want to act. I want to act. There is a beautiful woman in her 30s, wearing an orange knitted sweater, chasing after her with a small bamboo pole. Xiaodong ran away and shouted, if you hit me, I will also act. I am a man, and I want to support my family. The beautiful woman put down the small bamboo pole and sighed helplessly. Xiaodong, on the other hand, has hands akimbo, exuding a divine aura. Screen freeze frame. So, this is the protagonist of our book. Let me introduce him to you. His name is Feilong. He was born in 1998 and is now 6 years old. A season of changing seasons, full and handsome. In addition, a few years ago when Three Kingdoms was broadcasted, his father even took a character for him to keep up with the trend. Bo Chang means to explore the strengths of the audience. A character is a good character, which is connected to his surname Koff. Let's not talk about that anymore. Let's talk about his other identity. He is not a person from this world, he is a traveler. Due to the blue eyes of the goddess of luck, she came to this world called Aqua Blue Star, which looks like Earth but is specious. Why is it said to be specious? That's because some parts of the two worlds are very close. For example, both are descendants of Yan and Huang, both have the same history in family feuds. But in some places, it is also quite bizarre. For example, let's talk about the entertainment industry, although there are also many celebrities from past lives. But some celebrities and their works have disappeared without a trace in this world. For example, Xing and Xiaodong. Also, the economic development in this world is completely out of order. QQ, Taobao, Meituan, and Bitcoin are all products of the last century. Smartphones have become popular, and the internet speed has even developed to 4G. However, the physical industry has not changed much and is in sync with the original world. This abnormal development has made Feilong laugh. Then he laughed and cried. This TM is blocking his path to wealth. And it's deadly. He just wants to speculate in stocks, play with coins, easily earn a few small goals, and then start a life of lying flat. As a result, he got this hole in theory. His living conditions in a 400 square meter courtyard would definitely be very good. Even if you don't work hard, you can guarantee worry-free food and clothing. But you may not know that this courtyard is his family's ancestral property. It can't be sold. It's the kind of thing where every thought comes to being hung up and beaten. His background is even more unfortunate. His mother died soon after he was born. His father was also unreliable. After he was 1 year old, he went to the cold country and disappeared. Just now, the beautiful woman chasing after him with a small bamboo pole was actually his aunt, who was entrusted by his father to move over and take care of him. A huge courtyard now houses the two of them. Feilong won't say anything about it. It's too small. The only income in the family now is earned by his aunt as a part-time accountant, and it's said that her company seems to be not doing well recently. Hey, one person's salary supports the expenses of the family, and living in a courtyard house looks very beautiful. In fact, it is simply a family with nothing to do. No, his family has 9 rooms, at least 30.6 walls. Fortunately, the goddess did not completely release him when she threw him over, but instead gave him a system. This system is called the Gospel of Experientialism. The specific function is to allow him to immerse himself in the upcoming film and television series for an immersive experience. Although the function is very simple, it can be said that it is not powerful. Feilong even felt that the name of this system was taken incorrectly. What kind of experiential gospel? This is clearly the god of the experiential school. At this point, we have to explain what experiential style is. Experientialism, one of the schools of modern theatrical performance, emphasizes starting from oneself and living in the context of characters. See how well it fits. Living in the context of a character. With the system, Feilong can not only live in the character's context, but also in the character's home. Is there a more intuitive way of listening, watching, and feeling than this? Feilong already has a premonition that he will definitely be soft on receiving awards in his lifetime. After all, having such a cheat device in hand can always make the character appear in person, and not winning a prize would be a shame for the system's powerful functionality. It was precisely because of this system that Feilong made up his mind to enter the entertainment industry in his lifetime and cause him a complete upheaval. It has nothing to do with not being able to invest in stocks for half a penny. He mainly loves the entertainment industry. In addition, he is already 6 years old after the Chinese New Year this year, at the age when he starts learning knowledge and knows how to be honest. Can he also be considered an adult? Well, that's not a big deal, little people. That's not right either, little adult. Yes. You can also be considered a little adult. He also wanted to make money and help his family share the pressure, which led to the scene at the beginning of this chapter. His aunt naturally didn't want him, a 6-year-old brat, to go out and show his face, but she couldn't help but argue with him, and in the end, she could only compromise. I plan to take him to find the production team on Saturday and Sunday, and visit Huayu www.zhaohuayuan.com to see if they can recruit child actors, and also to see if he has that talent. If you can choose, let him give it a try. If you can't choose, that's just right. You can take the person back directly. And after this time, I believe he won't argue with himself again in the future. On Saturday, Feilong's aunt came to the Kyoto Impression community in Haidian district with Feilong, who was almost wrapped into zongzi by a down jacket. This is also the news that was only heard after multiple inquiries, saying that there is a production team preparing here and there is still one young actor missing. This is a new residential area that was just completed last year, and the housing prices were also considered expensive at that time. In 2004, it could be sold for over 10,000 square meters. Not to mention now it has risen to 100,000 yuan per square meter. Feilong remembers that Lu Xing and his family were filmed in Impression community at that time, and according to professional calculations, their house area was approximately 200 square meters. How much is it? Calculate it yourself. Speaking of this season, Feilong suddenly had a reaction. Yes, at this time and place, it could really be that drama, that countless memories of the post-.90s and post.2000s generation, a domestic sitcom with a high rating of 9 on Douban, a legendary drama, and Family with Children. Later, I asked and confirmed with someone, and it was really true. And the missing character is also an important one, the youngest son and younger brother in the family, Huayu. Feilong suddenly came to his senses, feeling that his debut work had been found. Dream romance drama, the best debut work. Auntie, let's go, I have decided to play this role. Feilong walked ahead with a strong and spirited demeanor. The woman shook her head and quickly followed. By the way, I forgot to mention that his aunt's surname is Su Mingli and she looks like Wan Qian. Chapter 2. Families with Children. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. When the two of them went, the production team was conducting an audition on a small square in the center of the community. There are more than 10 children coming to participate in the interview, each with a tiger-like head and a tiger-like brain, exuding a spirit. A few of them have grown up eating cute food, belonging to the kind that can leave a good impression at a glance. That is to say, Feilong has inherited the super high appearance of his parents in his lifetime, becoming more exquisite and adorable. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to outdo these little ones. Among them, Feilong also saw the original version of Huayu and Yuhaoren. The little guy is quite talented. Faced with the director's requirements, he showed his attitude after making mistakes, which met the director's expectations. Later, he set up a scene with the little actor who played Duo, and the performance was also quite good. Watching the director nod and smile from time to time, it feels like this character is most likely destined for him. Other children who did not appear all showed signs of frustration. Only Feilong is still full of confidence in himself. Director Lin Zong actually noticed him a long time ago, and he had noticed him since he came over. After all, next to him was a beautiful woman, and everyone around her was looking at her. It was difficult for her to pay attention. Feilong. Although it was true that Feilong was a bit presumptuous, the result was the same, as the director's gaze was drawn towards him. With just one glance, Lin Zong was amazed. Whose child is this? He looks so beautiful. Well, all of the above was done by Feilong himself, but he saw the other person nodding at him, which is a fact. Just as Ant went to register, Feilong sat on a nearby bench waiting. In just a few minutes, the system started its first work of self-threading. He now looked like he was sitting in a nearby chair, but in fact, his consciousness had already followed the system to a different world. The speed of thinking is infinite, and the time ratio between the real world and the conscious world is 1.10000000. Plot World, 2004. When Feilong opened his eyes again, he was already sitting on the plane from the United States to Kyoto. At this time point, he immediately thought of the scene of Xiaodong returning home with light rain and snow after his divorce. Just as he was feeling that the system had taken him too far in time, the system suddenly emitted a prompt sound in his mind. Detected that the host has the basic English skill, so skip the plot of Ugly Country Life. Feilong is numb. He was supposed to experience it from the moment he was born. Do you dare to go any further outrageous? And what do you mean? Although he hasn't passed the CT.4, your basic English is a bit damaging to his self-esteem. Insult who? Unable to function and furious for a long time, Feilong finally accepted reality. It was only later when he saw the system pop up instructions that he realized, the experience of participating in film and television dramas can be divided into 3 stages. One is the pre-plot, the second is the plot of the script, the third is the unknown plot. The plot of the script is easy to understand, which is the plot portrayed in a TV drama. As for the pre-script plot, just like Feilong is doing now, in order to allow him to have a better performance in the script plot, give him some time to adapt to the role. If this character has their own special skills that Feilong does not possess, then time will have to be reversed. Not to mention allowing him to experience the learning process step by step, it will at least leave space and time for him to learn to adapt and use this ability on his own. If the character has achieved a certain achievement, it would be even worse. Time would have to go back and let Feilong personally complete it before the character has achieved that achievement. Give an example. If the plot requires Feilong to play the role of the thief Saint Baiyu Tang, then the time when he passes by will be when Baiyu Tang first appears in the martial arts world, or even before he has a chance to do so. Only in this way can Feilong truly experience the experience of Baiyu Tang becoming a thief compared to his peers, in order to better interpret this role. As for the unknown plot, it is easy to understand that it is not within the scope of film and television dramas. Give an example. Although Lu Jianming continued to live as an undercover agent in the final ending of Infernal Affairs, there was never more than one undercover agent for Han Chen in the police force. Even if Lin Guoping died, there were still others, and he still had the risk of being exposed. The outcome of Lu Jianming in the end, whether he will live well or be discovered and killed, is unknown. The unknown plot provides Ji Feng with the opportunity to continue exploring in the world of film and television. Of course, this part is not necessary and can be understood as a sequel. Ji Feng can choose to continue, or he can choose to directly withdraw from consciousness and find Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. These are just bonus points. Speaking of this score, it is a built-in evaluation mechanism of the system, which assigns scores to key nodes to give the host a visual perception of their performance. A score of 6 is a passing grade, the higher the score, the better, and a score of 10 is perfect. If the score is below 6 points, it means that this step is not qualified and needs to be redone. Continuously failing will be repeated, which is quite strict. Finally, the scores obtained from all the pre-plot and script plots are added together, along with the bonus points obtained from unknown plots. Finally, divided by the number of ratings, this is averaged to obtain the final score for the current experience. Rewards will be given to varying degrees based on the final score. Rewards come from the storyline world, and rewards within the same level's reward pool are completely random. A score of 6 and 7 is a level, and only low-level prize pools can be drawn. A score of 8 and 9 is a level, and medium prize pools can be drawn. A score of 10 is a separate level, and high-level prize pools can be drawn. This represents the highest reward that can be produced in the world of the plot, but it is generally unlikely to be achieved. Ji Feng probably doesn't have much experience or performance skills this first time, so he should be able to score 6 or 7 points and draw something from the lower prize pool. What kind of Converse T-shirt from Lu Xing, or Xiaodonghai's script, The Love Story of a Hornet, and so on, but it's okay, he's still young. The Star Trek has just set sail, so the key is to participate. P.S. I've been writing this for so long, and I should be some old friends now. I can't compare my grades to the previous one. Please help me a lot. If there are people, let's contribute a collection. If there are tickets, let's watch and give some. If there are more money, it's better, haha. Read new books and data as much as possible, please. Chapter 3. Purple Sister and Dwarf Lu Xing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, time flies, and in the world of the plot, Xiaodong and Lu may have been married for 2 months now. During this time, Ji Feng has fully adapted to this character. After all, he is now a child himself, and adapting to children is almost effortless. During this period, he has become familiar with his cheap brother, cheap father, and that less malicious stepmother, but he is not very familiar with Xia Shui. Because Xia Shui has been living with her grandfather's house since returning to China, and Xia Donghai did not come back after her family moved to a new house after getting married. I don't have much time to get along, so I'm not familiar. He originally thought he would continue to follow the plot until the end, but unexpectedly, one day he was in a water gun battle with Lu Xing in the living room when the system suddenly prompted. The pre-plot has ended, and the comprehensive scoring is in progress. After waiting for a few seconds, an ordinary 6 minutes caught his eye. Just as Ji Feng was still lamenting the strict system, a new message popped up. The script plot cannot be opened without obtaining the character. Then, with a sound from Duong, his consciousness was kicked down. A shaking god, Ji Feng's consciousness returned to reality. Glancing at the time, I realized it had only been a few seconds. Feeling magical in my heart, I couldn't help but feel guilty. What kind of broken system? It's not intelligent at all. Could you please give me a countdown to prepare? Suddenly disconnected from the internet, do you know how much harm this sudden disconnection can cause to a 6-year-old child? Do you know? And surprisingly, you have to win the character to continue experiencing it. What's the difference between you and those unscrupulous merchants who have to pay to unlock the main feature? My pants are what's going on. Let me see this. Although full of complaints, it's of no use. I can only acknowledge it, step by step according to the rhythm of the system, and then win this role first. He is now more confident than when he first arrived. He has been logging into Xiaoyu's account for half a year, not to mention becoming Xiaoyu's main phone, at least it is also Xiaoyu's backup phone. Can it still have no effect at all? After a while, Su Li registered for Ji Feng and returned. She also sat on a chair, holding Ji Feng and waiting quietly. After a while, the young actors in front were all about to interview, and finally it was Ji Feng's turn. Ji Feng didn't feel nervous, walked steadily to the interviewer, and then lightly jumped back and threw himself onto the chair. Children, how old are you? Director Lin Zong is a short-haired female director who has participated in directing multiple works such as I Love My Family and Idol Sister Ma. She can be said to be a highly qualified director. Usually a quite serious person, but at this moment he was also looking at Ji Feng with a kind smile on his face, waiting for his reply. 6 years old. Ji Feng's mouth was clear, his voice was very pleasant, and his eyes flickered with wisdom that this age should not have. Okay, have you learned acting before? Lin Zong nodded and continued asking. Ji Feng shook his head honestly and added, but I usually enjoy watching TV and imitating characters from TV dramas. Director Lin Zong's smile grew stronger and he asked, so who do you like to imitate? Can you teach me something? Ji Feng nodded and said, of course you can. I like Wu Song, and next, I'll imitate the scene of fighting the tiger. After Ji Feng finished speaking, he got off his chair and went to the open space. Suddenly, he fell down when everyone was caught off guard. And then, ahem. Everyone present was amused to the point of laughter, and director Lin Zong couldn't stop laughing and jokingly said, you like Wu Song, but ended up playing the tiger yourself. Ji Feng knew that the effect had been effective, so he stopped howling. He stood up and scratched his head, saying, everyone has their own aspirations. As soon as he finished speaking, he burst into laughter. Lin Zong had high expectations for him originally, and after this period just now, he became even more fond of him. Immediately whispered a few words to the deputy director next to him, and the deputy director hurriedly left. Just a moment, I called 2 people over to set up a scene with you, director Lin Zong explained. Ji Feng let out a sigh without asking who those 2 people were. He obediently sat back in his chair and waited. After 10 minutes, the assistant director returned with 2 children, one tall and one short. The tall one was a girl, and the short one was a boy. Ji Feng's eyes lit up as he looked at it. Drink. Isn't this Yang Zi and Zhang Yishan who play Xia Shui and Lu Xing? Today's Yang Zi is not yet the queen of drama in the future. She is still very green and skinny, with a slightly chubby baby in a high ponytail, very youthful. As for Zhang Yishan, he cannot use the word green and astringent to describe him. He is well developed, thin like a monkey, and even though he is of the same year as Yang Zi and even has a birthday older than Yang Zi, he is almost 1 head shorter than Yang Zi. No wonder they are set as high school and junior high school students in the drama. They stand together and tell you they are in the same class, so you have to believe them. After greeting the director, the 2 of them started working and set up a scene with Ji Feng. The performance is played by Xiaoyu, who relies on reasoning to make accurate reports. Xiao Shui and Lu Xing have no choice but to choose the part where they bribe Xiaoyu. After a few minutes of performance, all 3 of them performed well. Zhang Yishan and Yang Zi portrayed their carefulness and helplessness on Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Ji Feng also showcased Xiaoyu's characteristics of being a small person with ambition and insatiable greed. How to put it, Ji Feng's self-perception is not much different from Yang Zi, but there is still a slight gap between him and the actor Lu Xing. After all, he is already a veteran actor. The movie Little Soldier Zhang Jie, played before the new year, is so popular. He plays Tong Lu inside, the one wearing glasses. Don't say, this kid just plays whatever he wants, his talent is really better than ordinary people by more than a little bit. Fortunately, Ji Feng is a cheater and can experience it firsthand. Otherwise, he may not necessarily be a match if he only relies on his acting talent. Alright, it's okay, kid. You can go back now. I still need to discuss the specific candidates with the deputy director. After watching the performance, Director Lin Zong waved his hand and spoke in a calm tone, but the satisfaction in his eyes couldn't be concealed. Ji Feng was encouraged and ran around the table to come to Lin Zong. Wei Chu Baba said. Why can't we make it now? Am I not cute enough? Lin Zong was immediately adorable, picked him up, let him sit on his lap, and looked at him and said. How come you're not cute? You're so cute. To be honest, I want to take you as my godson. You're so beautiful, little one. Godmother, Ji Feng immediately called out. I didn't hesitate for a second, but when I hit the snake with the stick, the most prominent thing was that I just opened my mouth. Lin Zong was stunned for a moment, then laughed happily. Everyone present also burst into laughter and found it particularly interesting. Su Li, on the other hand, covered her face. This nephew has never let her lose face in this regard. What does Chapter 4 say about a good childhood? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, although it was a bit mischievous, after such a close relationship, the character was not unexpected and naturally fell on Ji Feng's head. On the way back, Ji Feng was very happy, walking in a bumpy manner. Can I just say I'm good? Ji Feng looked up at his aunt, feeling very proud. Su Li was both helpless and amused, saying, yes, yes, young master. But you've come up with a plan. It's been said that this industry is difficult, and many child stars didn't make it out in the end. I'm afraid you'll have to. As Su Li was speaking, she suddenly saw a big yellow dog passing by from Ji Feng, and the dog ran away with a loud roar. What can't I bear? Ji Feng turned his head and said curiously. No, it's okay. The next morning, Su Li took a bus with Ji Feng to Hadian District again, mainly for signing a contract and officially joining the group. Listen carefully to others' words on the set, you know what? Auntie has a job and can't be with you all the time. She can only send you off like this sooner or later. If you have suffered any injustice, you should tell me in a timely manner. Do you know? I know, Ji Feng said as he looked at the rapidly flashing scenery outside the car. When I make money, I'll buy a car for you, Auntie. Su Li hasn't been moved yet, I heard Ji Feng say, so when you see me off again in the future, I can lie down in the car and sleep. Su Li. Thank you, nephew. Nearly an hour later, the two of them returned to the crew. Su Li went to talk to the director about signing a contract. Although the signing party was Ji Feng, he is still too young and doesn't understand anything, so this annoying matter is left to his aunt. As for him, he has already gathered among the actors and become familiar with them. Yang Zi and Zhang Yishan, whom I saw yesterday, are all here, as well as Ji Feng's parents in the drama. Dad Xiaodong Hai is played by Gao Yalan and teacher Gao. He is an old actor who started as a screenwriter and gradually developed into an actor. He has appeared in many films and TV shows, such as The Story of the Cooking Class and Empress Ma with Big Feet. Of course, these are all well known to everyone. There are still some things that everyone is not familiar with, such as many people may not know, this person with thick eyebrows and big eyes has actually played the role of AI Mom Lu Mei is played by teacher Song Dandan, which can be considered the biggest character in their production team. Everyone knows about I Love My Family, and The Lights of 10,000 Families, and they have appeared on the Spring Festival Gala more than once. Just talk about Lazy Man Blind Date, how classic it is. My name is Wei Shufan, female, 29, and I am currently unmarried, teacher alone. I am your fan. The first step in bringing relationships closer is to start with simple approximations. After Su Li talked about signing the contract, she called Ji Feng over. After all, the contract belonged to him, and he was the one who came to sign it, and then he became the guardian. Ji Feng flipped through the contract and glanced at it hastily, mainly focusing on the movie pay, which is 800 yuan per episode. This amount of money will definitely be pitiful in the future, but in the present, it is no longer a decimal. You should know that based on the situation in 2004, the average monthly salary now is only 700.800 yuan. Ji Feng's single episode of 800 yuan is equivalent to earning an adult's monthly salary for one episode. There are already quite a few, and Ji Feng is already very satisfied. Moreover, they did not say that they deliberately lowered the price for him because he had never produced any works before. Others, Ji Feng, did not know, just said Sha Yi of Wulin Weizwen. He once said that when he was filming Wulin Weizwen, he paid 2,000 yuan per episode, which is already the highest in the entire production team. It can be imagined that in this era, film remuneration is at this level. With the development of the times, the film and television industry has become increasingly profitable, and the salaries of actors have only risen. From inviting teacher Li Yubin to star in Bright Sword at 50 million yuan per episode, to inviting Shuangzi who remains unmoved at 200 million yuan per episode, this is a change of the times. After signing the contract, Su Li went back and only came to pick him up at night. The following days were the same, sending him over early in the morning and picking him up at night, just like going to school. Speaking of going to school, he hasn't officially started elementary school yet. It's very easy to take a break. After explaining the situation to the teacher, they agreed and even said they would come and visit him in the future. After all the actors were recruited, the production team officially started. Ji Feng has officially started his acting career. At the same time, his system also automatically unlocked the subsequent script plot. When Ji Feng returned that evening, he lay in bed and went through the plot of the first part of Family with Children, from beginning to end. With his consciousness restored, Ji Feng returned to the scene of shooting a water gun with Lu Xing in the room. Xiaoyu, what are you doing? Why are you so stunned? Lu Xing said, taking the opportunity to give Ji Feng a few puffs on his face. Lu Xing. Ji Feng suddenly regained his senses and chased after him with his short legs and water gun. The two of them played for a while before suddenly making a click and the door opened. Xiaodong has returned with a little girl by his side. That's right, it's Xia Shui, the obedient girl. At this moment, the following message suddenly popped up in Ji Feng's mind. Task release. Episode 1. Xia Mawei, Camera 1, Rating Item, Xiao Shui welcomes her new addition to the big family and creates a joyful atmosphere. Camera 2, Rating Item, Join forces with Lu Xing and fight against Xiao Shui. Since sister has set fire, brother must light the lamp. Check-in name scene, bonus points, 1. Wild Boy, page 38, lines 3 to 16. 2, Lu Xing. I want to dye this thing on my head green. After reading these, Ji Feng immediately gained a deeper understanding of the operating mode of this system. He thought it would be like filming on site, letting him come step by step, but he didn't expect it to be a complete shot. Just release the mission in advance before the plot starts, and there won't be endless pop-ups in the middle. This is very good. Now this mode is more like sampling, with 1 or 2 shots taken from each plot to test the score. Zhaozuiyuan.com. Relatively speaking, it has relieved a significant portion of Ji Feng's pressure. There is also a new version of the block, called Famous Scene Check-In, which can give you extra points just like exploring unknown plot. By this calculation, it seems that his debut in life may not necessarily be just 6 points. He looked forward to the final result even more. Speak late but quickly. Lu Mei heard the sound and came from the kitchen, welcoming Xiaoxue with a smile. Ji Feng had already regained his senses and followed behind, clapping his hands and shouting slogans with Lu Xing, welcome. Warm welcome. Xiaoshue's expression was very cold, completely ignoring Lu Mei's goodwill. When Lu Mei followed Xiaodong to help her carry her luggage and leave, Lu Xing also went to the restroom to wash his hands. Xiaoxue immediately resolved the high cold, grabbed Ji Feng's arm, and said with concern, Xiaoyu, tell me, are you doing well at this house? Ji Feng nodded. To be honest, he has really had a great time lately. As a child, he plays all day long. His father is easy to talk to, his stepmother loves him, and he tastes good and delicious. He keeps having various toys and even bought him a slide bed. Others don't say, anyway. Ji Feng is fiercely envious, especially after comparing himself before crossing the river. There is no comparability at all. This is also what Ji Feng particularly wants to complain about. As agreed, your childhood seems to be the same as mine. You have a big 3-room apartment, you can wear any famous brand, and you have the freedom to wear skincare products. 3,000 is a small sum. Hagen Daz can enjoy menstrual cramps, and various flavors of Gao Lego are available in unlimited quantities. Not to mention 2004, it's already 2024 and I haven't caught up with your family's living standards. Chapter 5. I want to dye this thing green. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. After answering a few questions from Xiaoxue, Lu Mei and the others had already arranged their luggage and came out. Then, at Lu Mei's invitation, the family of 5 began their first meal after the family members gathered together. A table of good dishes. What kind of oil-braised prawns, steamed hairy crabs? Stop talking, do it. Xiaoxue read out some Declaration of Freedom during her meal, which has nothing to do with Ji Feng. Keep eating. Prawns are really delicious. After dinner, Xiaoxue made a mess of her room and then went out without saying where she was going, with a completely problematic teenage demeanor. Lu Mei was so angry that she wanted to cry. Xiaodong advised her to give her child more opportunities, love, patience, and generosity. Then I went back to the house and didn't know what to mutter about. Anyway, when she came out again, Lu Mei's emotions had already calmed down. A few more hours later, Xiaoxue returned from outside. Xiaodong and Lu Mei sat on the sofa, pretending to read the newspaper and turning a blind eye to Xiaoshue's return. Obviously, this was their coping strategy. Ji Feng knows this move, the 37th of the 36th strategy, which is to advance by retreating. Intentionally showing indifference, causing her to intimidate someone who didn't show any interest and make her punch cotton. No need for them to use any more tricks. Xiaoxue couldn't hold back anymore and went back to her room. She walked out curiously and asked, "Don't you want to ask something?" Ji Feng shook his head when he saw it. His cheap sister is still too young to hold his breath. "I don't want to ask, you're a good child, we believe in you." Lu Mei pulled her hat high and said to Xiaoxue that she had no temper. "Don't you want to know what I did just now?" Xiaoxue said helplessly. "Don't worry, that's your freedom. We won't interfere, so you don't have to test us." Xiaodong smiled. Seeing her father so irresponsible, Xiaoxue stormed back. Not long after, the room was filled with very powerful music. "Mom, can I also play the music so loudly?" Lu Xing's eyes lit up and he said. "Can we?" Ji Feng agreed. Go on the side." This time, Xiaodong couldn't sit still and wanted to stop, but was stopped by Lu Mei. A few minutes later, when no one came to criticize her, Xiaoxue became even angrier. She came out with a pillowcase and publicly announced that she wanted to use it as a foot towel. Then Lu Xing came back and asked if he could use a pillowcase as a foot cloth. I know that. Ji Feng raised his hand and returned on behalf of Lu Mei. You can only use a foot towel as a pillowcase. Xiaodong and Lu Mei, who were originally quite angry, were immediately amused by Ji Feng's words. The next day, after school, Lu Mei was cooking, Xiaodong was washing dishes, Lu Xing was watching TV, and Ji Feng was sliding back and forth on his small skateboard in the room. Not to mention, it's fun. This scooter may seem a bit childish for high school students, but for Ji Feng, who has gone to college before, it's just right at this moment. The door opened and Xia Shui returned with her wild boy. Ji Feng recognized him at a glance. Isn't this killing Qianma killing sister? Look at the red hair on this end, how can there be such a black history? Just as Ji Feng was secretly laughing, Xia Shui also introduced the person to everyone, saying it was her boyfriend. Xiaodong suddenly exploded. He could pretend not to care about the past, but this incident touched his psychological defense line a bit. Now he wants to drag Xiaoshui to the study to have a conversation. Wild boy. Mark was scared enough to turn around and was about to run away. Xia Shui could only shout his ultimate move. Page 48, lines 3 to 16. Markton stopped walking and turned around firmly, shouting, I'm not leaving, I'll protect you. Xiaodong almost got so angry that she went over and slapped him, but Lu Mei stopped him. Then, with Xiao Shui, the three of them entered the study together. Okay buddy, what are you talking about on page 48, which line, and what is it? Lu Xing patted Mark's arm proficiently and said, let me guess, is it some kind of love oath? Mark dared not answer at all and responded with a smirk. Lu Xing gave a cheap smile, thinking that he had agreed. In fact, Ji Feng knew that the 3rd to 16th lines on page 48 were not secret words or records of love vows, but rather a math Olympiad question that Mark didn't know. He wanted to ask Xia Shui for advice, but was caught by Xia Shui as a laborer. Everyone should also know about the follow-up. Xiaodong couldn't interrogate Xia Shui, and then turned to talk to the wild boy. Looking at Xiaodong sandbag-sized fist, Mark naturally waved at everything. After learning that their daughter did not have an early romance, the couple's mentality calmed down again. After returning, they changed their previous attitude and continued to be obedient to Xia Shui. Xia Shui is not happy, and Lu Xing is even less happy. He thought that Xia Shui would definitely be scolded and cried by her parents for being so unreasonable this time, but instead of scolding, he even said he supported her. Lu Xing, who felt unfairly treated, even began to convey to Ji Feng the idea of learning Xia Shui's freedom. Since his sister set fire, his younger brother must light the lamp. Ji Feng naturally has no objections, that's his task. Immediately, the two brothers acted independently. Ji Feng went to play music on the computer, while Lu Xing went to find a broom to use as a guitar. Then the two of them began to cry and howl. My passion, like a flame, burns the entire desert. Ha! Ha! Xiaodong and Lu Mei heard the sound and asked them what was going on. Lu Xing shouted, for freedom. Ji Feng said, freedom. Then they were carried one by Lu Mei to the living room. After being scolded for a while, Lu Mei was about to leave. Lu Xing stubbornly asked, Mom, can I borrow some money from you? What do you want money for? Lu Mei asked curiously. Dye my hair, I want to dye this thing on my head green, Lu Xing said as he reached out his hands and pushed his bullet-shaped hairstyle up from both sides. Lu Meidun was so angry that he gave him a kick. Ji Feng giggled and said that Lu Xing's pursuit is noble. He dyed his hair green. No man from all over the world can say, brave, to him when he comes. That night, when he was about to go to bed, the system rated his performance in this unit. The final score is 7 points. The two shots that participated in the rating received 7 points, while the other received 8 points. Add 1 point to each of the 2 famous scenes. The reason why the final score is 7 points is that in addition to these, the system also has additional deductions and bonuses. The system reviews below are clearly written. First of all, I mentioned the deduction items. What kind of table only focuses on eating, without showing any concern for my sister or for conversations with others? Feilong recognized this one, and indeed only focused on eating at that time. Also, during school classes, I didn't listen attentively and refused to play with my classmates after class, which is not in line with the usual character of Light Rain. Feilong also agrees with this point. Looking for Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, he is still an adult's mind no matter what. Please ask him to listen carefully to the teacher's lecture on addition and subtraction within 10. I really can't do it. Moreover, the children in this grade are too childish. Feilong really can't integrate with them, just like him in reality. Every time other children play house, he always hides far away. What he didn't expect was that places that were not shown in the TV series would also be counted, which was something he couldn't do. In addition, there are also bonus points mentioned below. The phrase he added, Lu Xingyo can only use a foot towel as a pillowcase, can be considered a highlight, thus adding points to him. It was also from here that Feilong realized that even the plot of the script does not need to remain unchanged. As long as he adds and changes well, the system will recognize him and give him extra points. As for the follow-up content, I won't go into detail one by one. Feilong went through it from beginning to end this time. Occasionally, there may be times when the experience cannot be improved, but that is a rare occurrence. Most Feilong can maintain their own level and earn extra points through famous scenes and changing the plot. Of course, there are also cases where changing the plot or adding words without authorization is penalized by the system, which goes without saying. Talking too much is like tears. There are many famous scenes behind, but what impressed Feilong the most were the 2 below. Name scene. Lu Xing divides meat Patty's dad, 1 by 1, Mom, 1 by 1, Xiaoxue, 1 by 1, and Xiaoyu, 1 by 1. Scene. Summer rain, summer snow, summer hail. My name is Xiaoyu. My name is Xiaoxue. My name is Xiaobing Hail. Chapter 6. Complaint Expert. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, it seems like a long time has passed, and it seems like a moment. Feilong sat in bed for a few seconds before finally regaining his senses. This experience has given Feilong a deeper understanding of the role of Xiaoyu. Not to mention that he is Xiaoyu, but at least there should be no one in the country who knows this character better than him now. He was about to get up and take a breath when the system's rating arrived late. The final calculation was completed and a score of 8 was given. Later on, Feilong seemed to have a better understanding of acting and gradually adapted to this identity, which resulted in many bonus points. In fact, the actual score is 7.83 points, because of the legendary rounding algorithm, the score has reached 8 points. That is to say, he can draw from the average prize pool this time. This made Feilong happy for a while. He scored 8 points on his first appearance. It seems that he really has the talent to be an actor. Without further ado, let's go straight to the lottery. I saw a movement in his mind, and the small ball in the lottery machine representing the prize pool began to roll non-stop. 10 seconds later, 2 balls rolled out from the exit below. This means he drew 2 things. Isn't it that lucky? Feilong laughed so hard that his eyes couldn't even open. Then quickly click on the ball to see what rewards are available. The screen is displayed as follows. Reward 1, Skill Category. Whistleblower Effect. When filing a complaint or making a small report, it can make people believe what they are saying and improve the credibility of their language. Reward 2. Memory Empowerment, Must Hit, Feilong. It's quite speechless. I thought I was lucky, but ended up getting 2 of these things. The second reward is a must-have every time, but unfortunately, he thought it was his own luck. And that first reward, it's not too outrageous. Can you give me a director mastery or writing mastery, even for beginners? Can you give me a complaint expert? What are you doing? Let me give a report. Xiaoyu is such a person. Is he such a person? Annoying. In fact, he originally wanted to acquire a knowledge of music theory, because he had many songs that the world did not have. Only by mastering enough knowledge of music theory can he monetize the wealth in his memory. But things always go against our wishes. But it's okay, he's still young and can learn on his own. After returning, go find his aunt and enroll him in a class. He should take the initiative to demand progress. Later, as he gradually calmed down, Feilong thought for a moment and realized that this skill seemed quite impressive. The saying is, don't use bean buns as dry food, don't use accusation as a skill. If you use this skill well, you can save yourself a lot of trouble. For example, at home, if he breaks a bowl, he can easily accuse the villain and tell his aunt that it was the dog that broke it. Of course, he doesn't have a dog at home now. Well, it seems that we need to put the plan of raising a dog on the agenda after we go back anyway. That's exactly what it means. In other situations, the same goes for anyone who is unhappy. When the time comes, accuse them of being stubborn. As long as the other party has no evidence to prove it, there is a high probability that they will win the lawsuit. Especially for him who eats celebrity meals, the effect is even more pronounced. When the paparazzi exposed him, he would report to his food and clothing parents, accusing them of spreading rumors and slander. In the absence of evidence, see who everyone believes. At present, that's all he has in mind. As for whether there can be applications in other scenarios, it depends on the subsequent development situation. The first reward mentioned above. As for this second reward, memory endowments. After reviewing its instructions, Feilong exclaimed that he had taken a look. This thing is even more powerful than the first reward. Its effect is to impart experiences from the film and television world to someone through dreams, so that person can obtain all the memories of their own roles in the drama. For example, if Feilong uses this opportunity on Zhang Yishan, he will gradually acquire all the memories of the character Lu Xing through dreaming. Of course, what we are talking about here is the memory of Feilong's version, not the original plot memory. For those who are endowed with memories, apart from a slight headache at the beginning, there are no other effects or sequelae, let alone any symptoms of schizophrenia. People are still the same person as before, but they only have some extra memories. They will not be forgotten like ordinary dreams, but will be deeply rooted in their minds like their own experiences, subtly changing some of the other person's concepts. This is actually quite contrary to the sky. Feilong can already imagine his happy life in the future. By the way, this memory giving is necessary, but it may not necessarily be necessary. If you don't want to use it this time, you can leave this opportunity and use it when needed. The follow-up system also asked him if he wanted to use it this time, and Feilong's answer was yes. He wanted to use it to see the effect. No matter how good the introduction was, it was useless. We still need to see practical experience. Practice is always more important than theory. Almost without much thought, Feilong made a decision. Zhaohuiyuan.com. He decided to use this opportunity for Yang Zi. In this way, the entertainment industry will really have an extra sister in the future. Previously, the relationship was not in place and it was difficult to say. After going out in the future, I can proudly say, Yang Zi, my sister, the top female in the future. Is Reba really amazing? She would have to be pinned to the ground by my sister's fans, pounding and cursing, Water Queen. However, he also found out later that there seemed to be no one in this world called Reba, only Xiao Jingjing with a similar appearance of 7 or 8 points. After use, check the effect the next day. Sure enough, it had some effect. Ji Feng had observed that Yang Zi had secretly looked at him several times, and every time his eyes were strange. Moreover, they had only known each other for a few days and were probably still in an unfamiliar stage. However, with this memory grant and Ji Feng taking the initiative several times, their relationship quickly broke through. As for Zhang Yishan, this guy was indeed a naturally familiar person when he was young, and he didn't even use memory endowments. In a few days, he also became familiar. After mixing, Ji Feng gradually began to reveal his true nature. Starting to give the two people nicknames, you often hear Ji Feng running and shouting on the set. Dwarf Lu Xing, Dwarf Lu Xing. Hey, I owe you a beating. Whenever Zhang Yishan goes to catch up with Ji Feng at this moment, Xia Shui, no, Yang Zi always steps forward to protect him, which makes Zhang Yishan very depressed. As for Yang Zi, she didn't escape either. After getting to know each other, Ji Feng kept calling her Zi Mei. Ask him why he calls it that way, answer, he's willing to call it that way. Every time I was caught and ravaged by Yang Zi, I remained steadfast afterwards. My personal purpose is very clear. Call me sister if you have something to do, and call me purple sister if you have nothing to do. Chapter 7. Enlightenment of Martial Arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. As the filming progressed, the family gradually entered a state. It goes without saying that teacher Gao Yalan and teacher Song Dandan are old actors who always complete the director's arrangements well, so there's no need to worry. Don't worry about those three small ones. Yang Zi is good at memorizing lyrics, but when he first entered the theater, he always had to put in some effort. There's no problem with Zhang Yishan's play, he always acts like a monkey, jumping up and down on the set every day, making other actors on the set annoyed. I thought Ji Feng, who had never acted before, would be the most important thing to pay attention to here. Unexpectedly, in the end, I found that the most reliable person was him. He didn't cry, didn't make a fuss, and didn't have the tendency of children at this age to be distracted. He spoke well in his lines and had a good expression, almost not very angry. He also won the love of a group of staff with his charming appearance and sweet lips. Director Lin Zong exclaimed that he had found treasure. The days of filming passed day by day, and everything went smoothly. On this day, during the filming break, Ji Feng sneakily approached Zhang Yishan's side. Brother, I heard you graduated from Shikahai Martial Arts School. How do you usually train? Oh, you want me to teach you, right? Zhang Yishan's eyes twitched and his reaction instantly came back. Ji Feng. Is this a child? Put it on, for is even more delicate than a monkey. Fortunately, Ji Feng didn't have much integrity and admitted it directly. Yeah, just teach me. Call me brother. Brother. Okay, then I'll reluctantly teach you something, Zhang Yishan said with a satisfied smile. In the following days, besides filming, Ji Feng started learning with Zhang Yishan every day. Zhang Yishan is not as unreliable as he imagined, and he even specially formulated a set of teaching plans, which were very well organized. According to the learning situation in the martial arts school at that time, it was easy first and then difficult, gradually progressing. Firstly, the first step is to do some simple physical training, such as push-ups, horse steps, kicks, etc., to enhance his physical fitness and exercise his flexibility. By the way, there are also somersaults. Of course, it's not about letting Ji Feng flip directly from the beginning, but with the help of external forces, let's first find the feeling. Is this okay? Ji Feng hesitated as he looked at the rope tied around his waist that the other party said could provide protection. Sure, I'll hold on to the rope later and make sure there's no problem. That's how the teacher taught us at that time. Let's practice together, Zhang Yishan said, patting his chest. Upon hearing this, Ji Feng will no longer say much. Subsequently, the two began practicing. After flipping through a few times, Ji Feng didn't have much to say. Zhang Yishan was the first to gasp for breath and said. That's you, little one. If I had to change people, I wouldn't be able to catch them. You eat more, you're so dry and thin. How can you gain strength if you don't grow taller and stronger? Feilong immediately advised. Heart is good, but what is said is somewhat true. Hey, do you still want to learn? Think about it, Feilong suddenly dared not say. After the basic exercises in the front, there will be advanced training in the back. First is the boxing technique, then the stick technique, but they are all basic skills. The back and forth movements are just a few moves, and there is no beauty to it. When fighting, it's just going straight and with a strong momentum, and when it comes to shouting, it's like that. Once Feilong has learned these skills, he will begin the final stage of learning martial arts routines. There are Tai Chi and Xing Quan. To be honest, Zhang Yishan is really not very good at studying Xing Quan. Feilong didn't follow suit either. Instead, he learned a set of Tai Chi routines and practiced them every day. The value of this thing lies in persistence. Even if one's talent is good and they played beautifully at the time, without training for a few years, it would still be a bit scattered. Feilong has decided that he will continue to come every morning after leaving this crew, just like exercising his body. I believe that after playing for a long time, even if he no longer has talent in this area, he can still make this set of Tai Chi play with both form and spirit. Isn't it a pleasure to shoot a douyin and put it in a cup, or to have a suitable opportunity to show off in public? For Zhang Yishan, who led him into the door, Feilong was very grateful. He was able to teach Feilong what he had learned in the martial arts school without pay. Although it may only be an edited version, and although it may be just fun for him, Feilong accepted his feelings. No matter to what extent Feilong develops in the future, he can still be called the protagonist, Huayu Enlightenment Man. The first installment of Family with Children has a total of 100 episodes. Although each episode is less than 30 minutes, it can still be considered a full-length TV drama. Filmed from the beginning of the year until summer. It took half a year to finish. Before the wedding ceremony, a family of 5 who had already developed feelings went to have a meal together. They left their contact information for each other, but Feilong didn't have his own phone and could only leave his aunt's phone number. He plans to have his aunt buy him one when he goes back, even if it's a black and white Nokia. In today's society, it's not a problem without a phone. After returning, Feilong went back to school to attend classes. He graduated after only a few days of classes, and then went on vacation. After the summer vacation, he could go directly to elementary school. During his vacation at home, Feilong not only practiced various martial arts routines and basics learned from Zhang Yishan in the yard, but also begged his aunt to enroll him in a music class. In fact, he doesn't really love learning, but in order to be able to plagiarize harshly in the future. No, he also worked hard to move. Music theory knowledge starts with understanding the staff notation. Start with the piano as the musical instrument. In addition, he also started asking his aunt to help him scan and listen to whether there were any other cast members recruiting young actors. The second part of Family with Children will be scheduled until next year, and there are still 6 months left this year. We can't just waste it like this. Well, there is also a reason why Feilong doesn't really want to go to school here, which accounts for a small proportion of billions. It's not that he's crazy, at least he's also an adult's mindset. Is there anything easy to learn in first grade that can be done right with his eyes closed? By the way, and after earning a lot of money from filming his first film, he finally got his own phone at the strong suggestion of Feilong. As for the computer, he didn't want it, and he doesn't need it much now. He'll wait a few more years before we know. But a mobile phone is necessary to strengthen his connection with others. On the day he received his phone, Feilong called Yang Zi and Zhang Yishan and asked for their QQ number, so that they could also contact each other online in the future. Originally, Feilong did not have a QQ account, but now he has registered. At this time, there is no real name authentication or restrictions on minors, which is quite satisfying. Chapter 8. Sister, he bullies me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. After September, Ji-feng officially started attending primary school. It was only later that Ji-feng found out that their family and Yang Zizhang Yishan's family were not far apart, both located in Dongqing district. The schools are all gathered together. The elementary school where Ji-feng is located is called Shijia Elementary School, adjacent to Yang Zi and his 55 middle school. After the start of school, Ji-feng went to their middle school to visit them, and Yang Zi's home also visited them several times. Yang Zi's parents are quite easygoing. His father used to be a firefighter, but now he's giving up and starting a small business. His mother, on the other hand, quit her job after learning that her daughter had a career in acting and is now a full-time homemaker. Admirable, great parents. Looking at his aunt again, she doesn't even want to resign for herself. Failed Auntie Ji-feng's school curriculum really doesn't interest him at all. The first Chinese class, understanding initials and finals. Hey, it's hard to handle. That is to say, boasting to the little bouncing beans around you, filling cups, and even finding a little bit of fun. For example, now during break time, a group of children surround him in the middle, listening to him talk. My sister, she's a junior high school student from 55 middle school next door. My brother, graduated from Shikahai Martial Arts School. Do you know about Shikahai Martial Arts School? Li Lianjie came out from there. Anyone who has been bullied, come and tell me. Our primary school is surrounded by 3 acres of land. You speak so well. Looking at the admiring gazes from the little friends around him, Ji-feng felt very satisfied. It seems that my buddies are born to be celebrities. They love to do things that make a name for themselves and enjoy the feeling of being in the spotlight. I just didn't expect someone to stand up against him. He wants to see who is so bold as to dare to stroke the tiger beard of this Shijia Elementary School leader. What are you all doing around there? It's time for class, go back to your seat. Seeing that the person coming was a teacher, Ji-feng immediately wilted after Ji-feng's unremitting promotion. Now at Shijia Elementary School, from 6th grade to 1st grade, everyone knows that there is such a person as him. At first, he was just for fun, but to his surprise, someone really believed his words and came to find him to settle the matter. On this day, Ji-feng was at the dining table, eliminating the love lunch that his aunt had prepared for him. A nosebleed's little Jie Bengdo came to the door of their classroom and poked his head inside for a while before shouting, "Is Ji-feng there?" "I'm looking for Ji-feng." Ji-feng didn't know what he was going to do, so he could only put away the lunchbox and went out to take a look. After listening to his intentions, Ji-feng suddenly couldn't help but cry and laugh. "No, I just boasted and boasted. Do you really think I'm the big brother here? Ji-gu, as long as you help me handle him, I will cover all your expenses for the next week." Why don't you change your name? It's a bit strange. Ji-feng said to his forehead. It seems like the last person who called this name had been cold for a long time. Change your name. Wang Gang scratched his head, unsure why, but he was also quite clever and tentatively called again. Brother Ji. Ji-feng glanced at him and wanted to say something, but eventually gave up. Forget it, this title was barely acceptable. Add another KFC meal. Wang Gang gritted his teeth as Ji-feng remained silent. Ji-feng agreed, not to indulge him in a meal at KFC, but mainly because Ji-feng himself has a chivalrous spirit. He can't stand those who bully the weak. So, if you invite him out, it's at the pizza shop at the entrance of number 55 middle school. If he doesn't dare to come, it's okay. If he does come, I'll definitely make it difficult for him to walk away. Ji, the strategist, advised the other party. Upon hearing this, Wang Gang felt that the plan was well planned, well deployed, and very feasible. He was immediately excited and left. And Ji-feng didn't delay either. He immediately set off for number 55 middle school and wanted to find someone to notify his sister to come and rescue. Actually, Feilong can handle this himself, but it's not safe. The other party is a 5th grade student, who is 1 head taller than him. If he directly confronts him, it's easy to say if he wins. If he doesn't win, getting beaten is small, and the loss is large. So he thought of scheduling the location at the entrance of number 55 middle school and then finding someone to notify Yang Zi. When someone arrives, he can negotiate with the other party first. It's best to negotiate well and let him stop bullying Wang Gang, who is in 3rd grade. If we can't reach an agreement, we can procrastinate a bit. When Yang Zi arrives, let this 11-year-old, 162 centimeters old real elementary school bully talk to him. Quickly, he arrived at the entrance of number 55 middle school and found a reliable-looking boy. He asked him to go to class 1 of grade 1 and find his sister Yang Zi to come out. Then sit on the steps in front of the pizza shop at the entrance and wait. Not long after, Wang Gang came over with the 5th grade student named Zhangpeng. This Zhangpeng is a chubby little guy, with a Superman tonnage that makes him the king of his grade. In addition, he has a brother who is in the 2nd year of junior high school, 55, next door. He is even more crazy. Wang Gang was one of the victims and there was nothing he could do. After inquiring around, he finally found Feilong and hoped to get his help. He doesn't mean to fight back or anything, he just doesn't want to be harassed by the other party anymore. He's had enough of these days. Are you the one who asked me to come? Zhangpeng tilted his head and looked at people through his nostrils. Yes, buddy, why don't you give me face and stop bullying Wang Gang in the future, okay? Feilong patted the dirt on his buttocks, stood up, and said. Give you face, who are you? The chubby guy spat on the ground and said, get out of here now, do you hear me? Otherwise, I'll beat you up later. Hey! Feilong let out a sigh. Originally, he didn't really want to do it himself, but when it came to this, it seemed really difficult for him to hold back, so Feilong decided to change his plan and gave him a high kick on the spot. These days, the results of winter training and summer training have finally been demonstrated. This kick directly kicked the chubby little guy in the face, and suddenly, not only was his nose bleeding profusely, but he also had a size 30 shoe print on his face. The chubby little man immediately became very angry and wanted to fight back after Feilong, but Feilong's agile body kept dodging, which did not allow him to succeed. At this moment, Yang Zi, who had received the news, finally arrived and saw the chubby little man chasing Feilong. He was both anxious and angry, shouting, "What are you doing?" The little chubby boy's movements suddenly froze, while Feilong's expression was joyful. Taking advantage of the other party's confusion, he quickly distanced himself from the little chubby boy, then threw himself into Yang Zi's arms, hugged her waist, and reported. Sister, he bullied me. Ding, whistleblower little expert, activate. Feilong also didn't expect that he would use the ability he had just acquired for a short time. Dare to bully my younger brother, you're tired of life, are you? Yang Zi's eyes were about to anger. The little chubby man stumbled and wiped away the still flowing nosebleed, his expression somewhat bewildered. Wait a minute. Why don't you take a look at our status at Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com before reaching a conclusion? But it's obvious that Yang Zi doesn't want to consider these anymore. She just wants to support her brother and seek revenge. Looking at the tall girl across from him, who was 1 head taller than him, she walked towards him, rubbing her fists and palms together. The chubby little man suddenly became a bit hesitant, retreating while speaking sternly and inwardly, "You're not good at bullying elementary school students. Don't run away if you have the ability. I'll go call someone." Calling someone. Calling someone, I'm afraid of you. Yang Zi was like an angry little lioness, protecting Feilong while domineering. This place, 10 minutes later, if it doesn't come, it's a puppy. The little chubby man let out an angry snort and turned around to leave to call for someone. Yang Zi took out his phone and started calling. As soon as the phone was connected, Yang Zi shouted into the receiver. Zhang Yishan, you're dead. Your younger brother has been bullied to death. My brother. Zhang Yishan didn't react for a moment. Xiaofeng. Oh, Xiaofeng. Zhang Yishan suddenly became anxious. What's wrong with him? Someone is going to call someone to beat Xiaofeng. At the school gate, there's a pizza shop. Hurry up and call a few classmates from our class. Yang Zidao said. Okay, let's go now. Zhang Yishan replied and quickly hung up the phone. A few minutes later. A group of people came to the school gate in a grand manner, but Zhang Yishan mobilized all the students in his class. He brought out everything that could be used, such as brooms, mops, buckets, and trash cans. There were also a few teachers who were afraid of accidents and followed him, as well as other classmates who were watching hula. The chubby guy and the brother he just called over were scared and numb. What's up, big brother? Are you a national treasure? So many people protecting. Chapter 9. Pinggu Feilong Film and Television Base. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the first battle after Ji Feng's enrollment ended with a complete victory for Ji Feng's side. History says. Pizza shop victory. From then on, Ji Feng's prestige skyrocketed in his elementary school. Previously, there was a foolish person like Wang Gang who wanted to come and find him, a first-grade elementary school student, to handle things. Now, things are different. Every now and then, people come to him for help, and he has developed into a new generation of Shijia Elementary School spokesperson. However, he didn't have much to be happy about, he was just playing around in elementary school. What's amazing is eating a few more free KFC meals, but can you really make him talk to Dongcheng? In 2005, Ji Feng was 7 years old. I am 8 years old and 10 years old. I didn't find any good opportunities last year, so I have been idle at school. This year, I heard from his godmother, who is director Lin Zong, that the second film, Family with Children, is about to start filming, with the original team. Ji Feng is very happy that he finally doesn't have to stay at school anymore. He just wants to find a crew to stay with. Any crew can do it, but he doesn't want to go back to school. Go tell Yang Zi and Zhang Yishan about this news. They are also quite happy, but their happiness is not the same as Ji Feng's. They are happy because with filming, there can be sustained exposure. This is very important for those who have been child stars since childhood and aspire to become stars. Hey, anyway, Ji Feng can't understand these things. The world of adults is really complex. I went to ask for leave from the school teacher. After hearing Ji Feng's words, the teacher went to confirm with his aunt and then approved the leave application. Although your grades have always been good, you still need to remember to study in the production team, okay? Ji Feng's homeroom teacher touched Ji Feng's little head and said. Ji Feng nodded, but his heart was filled with slander. With that little bit of knowledge, could he learn a 6 pancake? I am a genius. No need to learn. When I went to shoot the second installment, it was also Su Li who sent him there and signed a new contract. This time, the money increased slightly compared to the last time, and it was already the standard of one episode for $1,000, aligning with his brothers and sisters. As for catching up with teacher Song Dandan and teacher Gao Yalan, he never thought that at least he would have to wait until he grew up, right? What he's thinking now is, after this shoot, the money earned, plus one shot, should be enough to buy a car. Speaking of which, car prices are really outrageous these days. Some are even more expensive than houses, while cheaper ones cost tens of thousands. If not cheap, then there is no limit. Ji Feng wouldn't dare to think about it now. Buy a cheap one and use it first. Wait for the car price to decrease in a few years before replacing it. He can also choose not to buy and use the money to invest in real estate with better prospects. But buying a car is now a necessity, and we can't always have his aunt take the bus and subway to see him off from dawn to dusk, can we? There are plenty of houses, and when you earn money in the future, you can buy them. The car needs to be arranged first, and clothing, food, housing, and transportation are equally important. It's been several months of filming again, and when Feilong returns to school after finishing his studies, he happens to be in time for the final exam. I haven't attended classes for half a year, and my grades still beat them. Don't ask, asking is just talent. During the summer vacation, Feilong and Yang Zi went out to play a few times, visiting Shikahai Park, Prince Gong's mansion, and so on. It's summer now, and when we go to Shikahai, we can only see water. It's said that in winter, everything here freezes up. There is an ice rink where we can go ice skating, and a few people have agreed to come out and play during the winter vacation. By the start of school in September, Feilong had proudly advanced from first grade to second grade. At the same time, he began to ask people to inquire about where the crew was still recruiting. He can't stand the second grade courses either. The emperor does not disappoint those who have intentions. 2 weeks later, Zhang Yishan sent him a message saying that there seemed to be a production team in Pinggu district recruiting young actors, who were under 10 years old, and it was said to be a costume play. After thanking the other party and promising to treat him to fried chicken another day, the next day, Feilong pleaded for illness and took a day off, asking his aunt to take him over to have a look. This time it was no longer by bus, but by his aunt driving him there. Yes, his family bought a car, fit, 119,800 yuan, it's too dark. This is still a relatively cheap one, and the same brand of Accord cannot be seen, it will explode at a glance. The place is called Pinggu District Feilong Film and Television Base. After knowing the specific place name, Feilong had already guessed which drama it was, Wulin Weizwen. The god of domestic sitcoms. Duban scored 9.4 and has a loyal fan base. The live streaming platform watched the section together, and the 3 live streaming rooms had the highest popularity, with Star-Lord's movie rotating, Joshu's movie rotating, and then it, Wulin Weizwen, rotating. Every time I click on it, it's probably a storyline where there's no village in front and no store behind, but netizens still enjoy it. Including Feilong himself, a fanatic fan of Wulin Weizwen, I watched this drama in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and still watch it after graduation. I have watched it countless times from beginning to end, preparing myself every day to travel through the world of Wulin Weizwen. Unexpectedly, one day he did travel through the world and found the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com, but it was a parallel world instead of the martial arts novel he had imagined. However, it's also fortunate that he has this experience system, which allows him to consciously enter and overcome his addiction. After driving for an hour, the two finally arrived at their destination. There was still a sign hanging at the entrance of the park, which read, Pinggu Feilong Film and Television Base. That's really the name. Feilong had always thought that the drama was fabricated, but he didn't expect it to be called this name in reality. After getting off the car, the two of them walked inside along the road. Not long after, the crew members came to greet them and asked what they were doing here. Feilong and his team answered truthfully, saying they came to audition. The staff glanced at Feilong, then at Su Li, and then quickly withdrew their gaze with embarrassment. They looked at Feilong again and curiously said, "Child, you look a bit familiar. Have we met somewhere before?" "Hee, then you may have seen me on TV. In The Family Has Children, I played Lu Xing," Feilong teased the other person nonchalantly. At his reminder, the staff remembered, "Yes, isn't this the youngest son from Family with Children?" Then I couldn't help but glance at Feilong, who was not honest at a young age. "Lu Xing, bully my family. I don't have a TV, right?" Feilong was not surprised to be recognized. The first installment of Family with Children was aired this summer, and he is now a well-known child star. At school, he was already very famous, and now he has reached the point of being able to summon wind and rain. Many teachers even came to take a photo with him when they heard that he was a student of their own school. The reason why Feilong came up with the idea of finding a scene to shoot is not only because he wants to make money, but also because he doesn't want to attend classes, which is a bit overwhelming in school. Chapter 10. Interview with Xiaodong, signed. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. After confirming Feilong's identity, the staff took them directly to meet with the director, Xing. That is a middle-aged man. My hair is a bit sparse, and I look serious and easy-going. He has directed The Story of the Cooking Class, Urban Men and Women, and Health Express, and is a very talented director. After listening to the staff explain their purpose, Xing let the staff go back first. Then he stood up and poured a cup of tea for each of Feilong and others, holding a thermos. The situation is like this now. The main role of Mo Xiaobei has almost been decided, and the screenwriter has chosen a girl, which doesn't seem to suit him very well. Xing pondered for a while after returning to his desk. Upon hearing what the other party said, Feilong's heart was half cold, and he didn't expect another sharp turn in the road afterwards. However, there is still a shortage of young actors in the cast. There is a child named Xiaodong, a supporting actor. Mo Xiaobei's classmate has also appeared several times. Do you want to try or not? Jingdao said. Su Li touched her nephew next to her, and she was more willing to listen to Feilong's own opinions in this regard. Director, I have no problem. I am willing to play Xiaodong. When will I audition? Feilong stood up sincerely. Xing saw that he was down to earth and pragmatic, with a sincere attitude, without the impatience of a child star after becoming famous. Feeling disgusted with this and that, he couldn't help but look up to him from the bottom of his heart. I'll have the teacher from the clothing department take you down to change clothes first. In 10 minutes, we'll meet again in this room, and I'll personally interview you, said Jingdao. Then, he picked up his phone and dialed the phone. Not long after, the staff from the clothing group came over and left with Feilong and the other two. Not far away, I entered a large room with rows of clothes inside. The staff searched inside and quickly came out, holding a small set of ancient costumes and costumes. A robe in indigo blue with gold coin prints, and a square hat. Next to it was the fitting room, and Feilong went in with his costume in his arms to change. Come out again, the modern handsome guy is gone, replaced by the second son of an outsider. Your outfit is quite fun. You stand up and Auntie will take a picture for you. Su Li immediately smiled and took out her flip phone, switching to photo mode, and asked Fengbai to cooperate with her. Feilong. What kind of aunt are these? After changing his clothes, he returned to the director's room. The director didn't know what he was doing and was not there, but it was also a good time. Feilong could go and experience the pre-plot first. Sitting on the chair, leaning against the shoulder of the aunt, watching Feilong fall asleep, in fact, his consciousness is no longer here, entering the world of the plot. I don't know how many years it was in the middle of the Ming dynasty, during the Wanli period. Qixia town, Qiuyuanweijia. After living here for a few days, Feilong finally learned what landlord wealth is. 1,000 acres of fertile land, 100 houses, and more than 10 servants. The most important thing is that there is also a painting by the painting sage Wu Daozi at home, Wu Daozi. As a talented young man in his family, Xiaodong also manages the keys to the treasury, and the stacked wealth inside gives him a clearer understanding of his current identity and family background. Meanwhile, in the past few days, he has also gone out for a walk and caught a glimpse of the entire Dengxia Street. The 18-mile shop, which has been kept in the legend, finally knows its location. They also know the real name of Lu's supervisor of the county, the master of supervisor of the county in Qixia town, Lu de Hua cough cough. Of course, none of these are actually important. What's important is that this pre-plot not only allowed him to experience it, but also started assigning tasks to him. Task 1: recite the entire 3-character classic. Reward: unlock Xiaodong's knowledge heritage. Read the 4 books and 5 classics. Task 2: learn to play Go. Reward: unlock Xiaodong chess art. Master of Gamoku. This type of non-final settlement lottery only applies to the film and television world. Regarding this, Ji Feng can only say that the baby's heart is bitter, but the baby won't say it. Although they were not so insane that they were really asked to read the 4 books and 5 classics from scratch, do you know how many words there are in reciting the 3-character classic? Are you just the 3-character classic? Copy it all down and he can make the author brother in front of the screen water a whole chapter. You tell me to memorize it all. Han family shovel. Fortunately, the second task is not difficult yet, it can only be learned. Moreover, at this time point, there is still over a month left before the official plot begins. He has divided the recitation task into small pieces, memorizing 500 words a week, and if he can memorize less than 100 words a day, it is still possible to complete it. The more I think about it, the more angry I become. Han Jia shovel. In this way, a month rushed by, and by the time it came to the plot of the script, Ji Feng's consciousness had been awakened, and both of his tasks had already been completed. Perhaps it was true that there was a poetic and scholarly aura in Ji Feng's abdomen. After waking up, he felt that his whole body had become much brighter. That is a kind of confidence. Netizen. It's shameful to pretend to be sick and skip classes. Ji Feng. Can you memorize the 3-character classic? At the same time, this month's extravagant lifestyle has helped him develop a bit of a genuine temperament as an outsider's son. However, these are all trace amounts, not to the point where people can detect something different at a glance. Zhaoshuyuan.com. So, after waiting for a few more minutes, director Shang Jing returned. The interview has officially begun. Director Shang Jing took a piece of paper, which seemed to have been specially written by someone just now. He handed it to Ji Feng and asked him to read it. Ji Feng didn't think too much. After clearing his throat, he read. The graceful and elegant demeanor of a man, standing alone in the world to show off his group. The stunning colors of the city are expected to bring virtue to the hearsay. Director Shang Jing applauded and said with a smile, I really didn't expect it. You're only in 1st grade now, and you can recognize quite a few characters. What is this? Ji Feng boasted immediately, I specifically memorized the 3-character classic to prepare for this role. Then, without the need for Shang Jing to verify, I exhaled like mercury pouring down my back. Halfway through the memorization, Shang Jing actually believed it, but still didn't interrupt him and listened to him finish memorizing. If Ji Feng was a bit surprised when he could recognize the words, graceful and graceful, just now, then now Shang Jing is truly shocked. You and Yu Entai should have a common topic, both of them are acting lunatics, Shang Jing sighed. I didn't try again, I just made the decision on the spot, and this character is his. It was only after seeing off Ji Feng and Shang Jing that he realized it. No, he didn't even know before that he was interviewing for the role of Xiaodong. How did he prepare it specifically? It seems that he was already capable of it. Surprisingly, he was tricked by this kid. Shang Jing couldn't help but shake his head and chuckle. However, there was no remorse. He was quite accurate in judging people, and he felt that this child was indeed quite spiritual. He also seemed to have a wealthy temperament on his body, which was quite suitable.